Hi and welcome to my channel. I'm Rebecca Elin, and I have recently been one of the speakers in an online summit called Dark Goddess Rising, put together by Noraline Adele, and I will put a link to her Substack below. And I want to tell you about my own journey with the Dark Goddess that I spoke about in the online summit. One of the dark goddesses that I have connected to the most is the Morrigan from Irish Celtic mythology. And she is a shapeshifter, and sometimes appearing as a raven, and sometimes as a triple goddess. And she is associated with war, fate, death, and sovereignty. And although I'm not from the British Isles, I'm from Sweden, I feel a strong connection to that mythology because I've lived most of my adult life in the UK, in London. And the Morrigan came to me while I was still in a relationship where I experienced narcissistic abuse. And I woke up to the realization about what type of person I was dealing with while I was still in that situation. And it coincided with my divine feminine awakening. And this is something that I have heard from other women too, that have experienced these things simultaneously. And the Morrigan as an archetype helped me through this transition of waking up and reclaiming my life and sovereignty, and eventually leaving that situation and moving from the UK back to my home country of Sweden. As Noraline, who organized the online summit, has said, these are real energies that are within us and that can help us through different transitions and awakenings in our lives. And this is related to Carl Jung and his theories about archetypes being part of our collective unconscious and also our personal subconscious, and something that we can access. A book that has impacted me a lot and that also helped me through this is Women Who Run with the Wolves. Contacting the Power of the Wild Woman by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. And she is a poet, a Jungian psychoanalyst, and a cantadora, which is a keeper of the old stories in the Latina tradition. And one of my favorite quotes from it is about spending time with the wild mother or wild woman in the underworld. And this is a kind of metaphor for being in the dark night of the soul and waking up from it. And I'd like to just read that paragraph to you. The time with wild woman is hard at first. To repair injured instinct, banish naivety, and over time, to learn the deepest aspects of psyche and soul, to hold on to what we have learned, to not turn away, to speak out for what we stand for. All this takes a boundless and mystical endurance. When we come up out of the underworld after one of our undertakings there, we can appear unchanged outwardly, but inwardly we have reclaimed a vast and womanly wildness. On the surface we are still friendly, but beneath the skin we are most definitely no longer tame. And to me, she puts it so beautifully, how it is to come out of trying times in our lives and be the same person on the outside, but there's something that has shifted on the inside. And this doesn't even need to be trialing times in our outer circumstances. It can also be trialing psychological times or inner trials that we go through. And there is transformation and rebirth and a sense of sovereignty that comes from having survived and come through certain parts of our lives. And the dark goddess archetypes are especially helpful with this and with rebuilding our boundaries and our strength. I also want to say that there is a lot of religious trauma amongst women especially. And although I personally haven't had a traumatic or negative experience with a specific type of Christianity that I grew up with, it still did not align for me fully. But reclaiming the core teachings and the divine feminine within the Christian mythology is a whole different thing. And there is a representation of the dark goddess in that tradition, and that is the Black Madonna. And she has continued to be a symbol of the Great Mother hidden in Christianity and has been revered sometimes secretly. And I read an article about her that I will link below, and in it says, "The Black Madonna carries a connotation of mystery, of the dark, of deep spiritual longing, of caretaking and miraculous healing. She is also seen as by Romani people apart from the religious mainstream and male-dominated hierarchical establishment, and represents the mother of the oppressed, exploited, silenced, marginalized, and the reconciler of all races." And this point about her being seen as separate from the religious, male-dominated mainstream reminds me of how the Nag Hammadi scriptures, also called the Gnostic Gospels, have revealed the Gospel of Mary, which of course refers to Mary Magdalene, often referred to even by the Orthodox Church and now even the Catholic Church as the Apostle to the Apostles. In the Gospel of Mary, the true meaning of some of the Christian terms are revealed that have been misunderstood in mainstream Christianity a lot of the time. And one of those terms being sin. According to the Gospel of Mary, sin does not exist. And this is also reflected in newer texts like A Course in Miracles, which is a modern continuation of these Gnostic scriptures and Christian mysticism. And it turns away from the dogmatic teachings that some of us have grown up with, although it still uses some of the same terminology, even some of the male-dominated terminology. But in my eyes, it's done so that the reader understands how we have misunderstood these terms. But that is a topic that I will come to in one of my next videos. And for now, thank you and see you soon. Bye.